Y'all, it is February 9th here in Middle Tennessee, and it is like 60 degrees. I can't believe it. We have been blessed. It is the Monday after Super Bowl, and so to celebrate, I'm going to smoke this Aroma De Cuba Mi Amor in Toro size, give you a full deep cut energy review, give you some of that B-side magic. So this is deep cut energy. So this cigar has been recommended to me several times by, ChatGPT, and I've seen it on other YouTube videos. This was made in the My Father factory, which automatically kind of jumps it off as it's probably going to be a pretty good cigar, at least in my book. This is a Cuban seed Mexican San Andreas wrapper, and Nicaraguan tobacco is grown by the Garcia family is your filler and binder. Obviously, doing this review outside, it's a beautiful day, ready to get some of that vitamin D. I took this Monday off because Super Bowl was last night, and I try to do that every year just in case I decide to get a little bit too indulgent on Super Bowl, and makes it feel pretty good today. I didn't have that much. Of course, ended up being distracted with other stuff. It's a different story. Let's keep it positive. So right off the jump, I don't get that same waxy note that I get off of a lot of other cigars that I smoke. I'm not real sure why. Maybe it's that San Andreas wrapper. Can't quite place it, but it's definitely different. Sorry, I heard music. What the fuck that was all about. But yeah, it's definitely different. Definitely not your standard, at least my standard, that waxy note. I'm not getting that on this cigar. Let's even up this burn line just a tad. Do it on camera. It's hard, it's windy, so I'm getting just a slight uneven burn. But you know the drill. That's nice. First thing that comes to mind is a cutting board, like in your kitchen, like a freshly washed one. So it's woody, but not dry woody. So I don't know that I'll get all the way through this on this video because, like I said, I took vacation today. It's a beautiful day. I'm waiting for my daughter to wake up so that we can go do some hiking. So if I get a message from her, I might have to wrap this thing up. But I did want to get this going because this has been kind of I think this is like number 2 cigar with several places, probably number 1 with some others. Definitely starting to pick up like a warm spice cabinet or spice pantry vibe. I couldn't place any specific note, like cinnamon or paprika or whatever, but definitely something in the kitchen. Man, that's a nice cigar. So let's try a retrohale and see what we get. We're that far in. That retrohale, for one, not as rough as a lot of others that I've had. Maybe the mildest of maybe any cigar I've had. That's not as far as the harshness going through your nasal cavities or holes or your nose, whatever. But it left something on the back of the palate, the back of my tongue, right as where the smoke would go through. That's dry and powdery, like the texture of like baking cocoa, but not the taste. It's not the flavor's not cocoa, just that sensation, that dry, powdery, whatever. I get that on the retrohale. Let's try that retro again. Yeah, definitely. Which is weird because the smell, I get that wet cutting board, but on that retrohale, I get that dry, powdery, that texture of a cocoa, but it's not cocoa. And I'll tell you, throughout this whole cigar, so I smoked this the other day and I used my ChatGPT log. By the way, go watch that video. Start using that prompt and it's going to 10x your cigar knowledge and your ability to choose the cigars that you like for the money and for the vibe and for the time and whatever. But I will say, typically when I use that, ChatGPT doesn't try to lead me down a certain road, but the whole time I was smoking this thing and logging notes, it kept saying, "Hey, the next thing you might notice is taste of cocoa or of chocolate or of slight molasses." And I never got any of that, and I'm not getting any of that now. It kept telling me to expect it. That's what's coming next, and I never did find that. So that might be popular tasting notes and smelling notes. That's not what I get, but it is nice. So dryness, slight bitterness, and a powdery finish is what I'm getting this far into this puppy. And maybe I didn't mention it, but I'm smoking the Toro size. It's also known as the Magnifico. It's a 6x52. So that gives you an idea how deep I am into this. Just put in the comments if you've had this, or if you've had anything from the My Father factory, and what your thoughts are on that. I know some people think some of those cigars are overhyped. A lot of people thought the My Father Blue was overhyped. I didn't think so. I liked it. So let me know if you've had this. What do you think about it? And what would you pair it with? Doesn't have to be alcohol. It'd be nice to know what kind of whiskey you might want to pair this with, but I'm also interested if you've paired it with any kind of coffee or some other beverage. So one note that I am picking up throughout, and don't take this the wrong way because I don't mind it, and it's actually an indicator of good fermentation, but on the foot, on that smoke, I am picking up some ammonia. I'm not saying it's bad. It's it's the strength in the cigar. It is an indicator that this was properly fermented. It's not overpowering. It's just there, and it's not, like I said, a lot of notes in cigars can, when you say them, they sound like they could be offensive or otherwise not good. But that ammonia that's in this, I'm not saying it's bad. It is just there on the foot smoke. It's been there kind of since the start. I'm just now kind of picking it up and and isolating it. But it's not bad. And again, to have that, when I say that note of ammonia, here's how strong that ain't. It's, again, that the retrohale is so much more smooth than, I can't think of another cigar I've ever had that the retrohale was as non-stingy as this, right? It's just a smooth retrohale. So when I mentioned that ammonia smell, I'm not, take it as a good sign that this was properly fermented, right? That's part of the deal when the tobacco ferments. Okay, we're cooking with gas now. The smell of this thing is starting to take on like a warm bread, and it's not like the Oliva Melanio or the Oliva series regular series V end up having like a dark pumpernickel smell and taste to them. This is not dark bread. This is like I don't know, like soft warm bread, like with just a slightly tan crust on the outside, like almost like a bakery, but not quite, not as strong as a bakery. But I mean, you got to get in there. But that is really starting to develop. That's nice. Like that a lot. Yeah. So the smell. Now that this thing's warming up, the smell and the taste are competing a little bit. So the smell off the foot is very warm, soft bread. The taste is more of the brown part of a warm croissant. Croissant. I don't know how you're supposed to fucking say it, but you know what I'm talking about. And you know the part of the croissant that I'm talking about. That warm, that thin, brown. You can almost not even call it a crust because it's not thick. It's like super thin. You can peel it away. But that is what I'm getting on the taste versus the smell, which is, and both of these I would say are lighter bread flavors, not the dark pumpernickel rye, not any of that shit. Delicious. So when I reviewed this the other day, I paired it with an Eagle Rare 10-year. So I hadn't had Eagle Rare in forever. I bought it, the last one I bought it like way before it blew up and got big, and I bought it for like $35. And that's the only reason I bought it. It hadn't been hyped up yet, and it was on special, and I was on a budget for sure. And it was one of the cheapest things in the liquor store at the time. And to me, it was a little bit, I'm like Eagle Rare. Like, how American are we trying to be? We're about to eat some freedom fries up in this bitch. But I bought it, and I wasn't overly impressed with it. It was fine. It was okay, but it wasn't anything I was going to go back to. But I will say at the time, my palate was not as refined as it is now. Not that I'm some, anything, but it's my tastes have changed. So I bought this. My local liquor store had a store pick, and they had the 375 milliliter bottle, so you didn't have to buy a whole fifth. A whole fifth? That doesn't make sense. A fifth is not a whole of anything. It's 1/5 of something. It's 20% of a gallon. I don't know. I'll Google it. At any rate, so I bought that 375 milliliter, put it in the liquor cabinet. Came out to kind of research this cigar the other day. Grabbed that little bottle, had it on a neat pour, and it was fantastic. It was so much better than I thought it was going to be. And just to have picked it on a whim to have with this cigar, I will say that was the right choice. So if you're looking for something nice to pair with this, I highly recommend that Eagle Rare 10-year. You probably won't get the store pick that I got, but I'm sure, how different can it really be, right? It's going to be pretty close. I know they got their single barrels and all this, and you have some variation, but got to be close. I highly recommend that. It was awesome. I didn't do that today because, like I said, it's 11 in the morning, and I'm waiting for my daughter to get up, get showered, get ready to go, so that we can go do some hiking and whatnot. So we're getting near the band now. All the stuff I was talking about is just becoming a little bit more and more pronounced. All right, so we're taking the first band off. It came off pretty well. So a little bit of a core memory starting to unlock with this one. So I grew up in San Diego, and the school I went to anyway, we ate outside unless you were one of the weird kids that ate in the cafeteria and got your lunch at school. The rest of us brought our shit, so you never knew what you were going to get. You might have a leftover chicken leg, you might have a meatloaf sandwich, or you might have a PB&J. Now, Mom did not cut the crusts off of them PB&Js, but she did cut them in triangle. And so what I would do, and I think a lot of us did, this is just kid shit, but we would eat as much of the sandwich as we could and not eat the crust. And because for whatever reason, when you're a kid, the crust kind of sucks. But I would eat that sandwich, eat everything but the crust, and then I'd still be hungry, right? We'd be sitting there bullshitting, and then I'd start eating just the crust of that PB&J sandwich on that cheap ass. We didn't have name brand Wonder Bread, but that type of bread. That's in there on the taste and the smell both. So when I say this is bready, that's a broad term, right? That can mean that it tastes like a roll or something, and it's not quite that. It's not that powerful bread flavor or aroma. So this thing progresses. I'm definitely getting that warm or hot spice cabinet again. Again, I can't name a specific spice in that cabinet, just like that vibe of baking spices. That smoke starting to warm up. Man, yeah, it's a spice cabinet, and a little bit too of a like a wood shop vibe. The that I said this was dry, so like the sawdust that's on the concrete floor in a wood shop. Not hot, not burning, not charred, none of that stuff. Like and not dark wood. I did that Liga review and talked about it being like dark or black walnut. This is not that. This is more pine, maybe. I guess that's what most wood shops have is pine. So I'm not saying it tastes like a pine tree. It's like a wood shop, like the sawdust. Man, does it need to be said? But being February, and it's been kind of shitty here in Middle Tennessee. They keep calling the couple things we've had Snowmageddon and all these other things. So it is absolutely fantastic to be out here getting some vitamin D, standing in the sun in a t-shirt. Y'all, we are not in a hoodie. We're not in a poncho. I'm not in my freaking Michael Myers jumpsuit that I have to wear half the time, and I'm not in my little cigar room, which I do love, but I hate to be inside when the sun is shining. So this is a fantastic day, despite the fact that I don't have a hangover, and I've maybe didn't need to burn a vacation day for that reason. I am fucking glad I did. And speaking of positive vibes, I just now got down to, and look at that. It's a beautiful, I mean, look at that band. That's just a beautiful band. But speaking of positivity and good things, I'll tell you, looking back, especially when you edit these videos, or when I edit these videos, this has been a very therapeutic process for me, because the things I have to edit out are a lot of like negativity and talking about how bad my week was, or how rough things were, how people won't fucking leave me alone at work, and all these other things. And then you get to thinking about it, especially when you edit that stuff out. You're like, man, nobody wants to hear that shit. Well, that's probably how I am in my real life. That's probably how I am when I talk to people, man. It's been a real eye opener for me to like stop burdening people with how rough my life is or whatever. My life isn't rough. It's just busy. I've been blessed. I've been given ample opportunities to do good things for my family. And there are countless people out there who would give their left nut to just trade problems with me, and then here I am just, stewing about it. And the more I say those things out loud, the more they become what I see. And, you get this tunnel vision. And so it's good to do these videos and then play them back and edit that stuff out and be like, man, I need to edit that stuff out in real life. I need to get to a point where I don't have to cut them out of the video, because I'm being positive. And there's a better way of putting it than that. So we had an icebreaker in one of these meetings, and somebody, and it was around, this is several years ago, but the question was, it was like January, what's your New Year's resolution? One of the very first people, he heard somebody else say, hey, I want to lose weight, or I want to, he specifically said, instead of saying that I want to take more trips this year or go on more trips, you need to reframe that and say, I want to be the kind of person who goes on more trips. And it was very well timed, because it wasn't a New Year's resolution. It was just something I wanted to do. I wanted to take more trips with my daughter. And so when it came to me and I said, you know what, I want to be the kind of person who takes his daughter on more trips. And we did, man. We go on trips all the time. My daughter will call them out and backs, right? Dad, can we do an out and back? I know you don't have a whole week off, but can we just go to Chattanooga for a day and come back? And we'll just do that shit on a whim. Not because I don't want to take more trips, because I wanted to be the kind of father who takes his daughter on more trips. And that has really manifested. So I shouldn't say that I want to be more positive or I want to be less negative. I want to be the type of person who exudes positivity, right? I want to be the kind of person who doesn't burden people with their negative thoughts. And I think that's going to make all the difference. And I'm working on that. I will be that person, but this has helped me tremendously. I've got more progress, orders of magnitude more progress than I would have were it not for this channel. So it is worth the time and the investment, and doing these things on the weekend and editing videos on Saturday mornings and shit like that. It's worth it for that. So I always try to throw some kind of what I always call B-side gold or B-side magic into these videos. I hope that's something you can take. That's something you're not going to get from every other cigar video, every other cigar review. I hope you also get, obviously, right, whether you want to spend the money on one of these Aroma De Cuba, Mi Amors, and give you some direction as you're smoking it to try to pick out some of these notes and those things. But more importantly than that, I hope that you are able to pick up maybe some of those type of things, right? And just let me be a little vulnerable here and tell you that I know I sound like a little bitch sometimes, and I'm going to be the kind of person who's not sounding like a little bitch sometimes. I would say this is a dry cigar. which I don't hate. It's nice. Again, it paired very well with that Eagle Rare. The cigar is not sweet. Even that breadiness that I get is not, it's not like a cinnamon roll or a chocolate chip cookie or any of those things. It's soft, warm bread, that very thin crust. That story I told about the PB&J and just eating those crusts. I'm not saying that the crust, I mean, people make a sandwich. A lot of times they don't spread the ingredients all the way out to the crust. The crust is its own thing and just picks up the hint of that peanut butter and jelly. And so slight that you don't even taste those notes. But that super thin brown tan crust I get on this, man, throughout. It's very subtle, very nice, bready in that way. Like I said, my chat GPT log kept suggesting to me that I would eventually taste cocoa, or I think it said light molasses. I don't get that. Somebody's got that, or it wouldn't have suggested it. I don't pick that up. The closest thing to cocoa I picked up was the texture when I did the retrohale. It was the texture through the retrohale, but also on the back of my palate. That ammonia smell or sensation has been there throughout, but again, not unpleasant, just there, just indicative of good fermentation. This thing, I've not had to touch it up much. Very well constructed cigar. Of course, it doesn't hurt that it's 60 degrees and I'm standing in the sunshine. You could be smoking about anything and it'd be good now. But when I smoked the other one the other day to do my research, it was not this nice out, and it was still a fantastic cigar. Definitely, as it's getting warm and getting close to the end here, that thin tan crust of bread or whatever is still present. Very nice, very pleasant. That spice cabinet vibe is still there on the foot smoke. So I'm gonna call it. I had it the other day. It didn't change much as I nubbed it. I'll nub this one and drive around and go see if my daughter's up and about. She should be. It's getting about that time. Hopefully she's up and showered and we can go for a hike. Go outside today. Be positive. Be the type of person who exudes positivity. Be the type of person who sits down with their cigar and really gets in there and finds the notes and the tastes and that the B-side magic, whatever that is to you. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it. I would also appreciate it if you liked, subscribed, hit the bell, threw a comment in there. Any of that stuff helps me out. My channel's small, so if you did that, I would be eternally grateful. I'll respond. Let me know if there's something else you'd like me to review. I'll grab it and review it. So yeah, so that's it. Thank you. So thanks for coming to the Deep Cut Energy channel, your B-side channel. I'm BD. As always, enjoy your smoke, enjoy your drink, enjoy your life, and as always, have a good one.